The Leominster City Council meeting is brought to you by the generous support of the Service Oil Company, 345R Lancaster Street, Leominster, 978-466-1922.
Rick, I'm gonna go.
Well, for me, yeah, because you guys have been in it, but for me, a newcomer.
Okay, this is a hearing before the Leominster City Council. This is petition 6318 relative to amending section 13-77 of the Leominster Municipal Code by adding a stop sign for northeastbound traffic on Revolution Drive at the intersection of Exchange Street. Do any members of the public wish to address the City Council either in favor of or against this petition? Second time, do any members of the public wish to address the City Council either in favor of or against this petition? Third and final time, do any members of the audience wish to address the Council either in favor of or against this petition? Do any members of the City Council have any questions or comments at this time? Nobody? Mr. President, at this time I'll close the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, she's attending tonight? Gail, did you hear anything from Sue? Okay,
I thought she was away as well.
I don't know.
I thought she was.
I haven't heard anything. Have
Yeah.
you heard anything? All right, okay.
This is a hearing before the Leominster City Council. This is petition 6218 relative to amending section 13-77 of the Leominster Municipal Code by adding a stop sign for southwestbound traffic on Commonwealth Circle at the intersection of Exchange Street. Does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Second time, does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or in opposition to this petition? Third and final time, does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Seeing none, do any members of the city council have any questions or comments? Mr. President, I declare the public hearing closed.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. The public forum is now open. The public forum is an opportunity for any member of this audience to speak on any matter specifically listed on the council agenda. Speakers will be asked to come to the microphone, state their formal name, their official address, along with identifying the specific item or items they wish to address. Each speaker is respectfully asked to keep their comments within a 2-minute time frame. The council will not be responding or answering any questions. However, at the discretion of the council president, clarification may be given. We don't have anyone that has signed up for the public forum. Would anyone like to address the council? And the council president and council recognizes Mr. James Lanciani for everything he's done for the city of Leominster. Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you,
Nice to see
Mr.
you here
President.
tonight.
Members of the City Council, it's good to see you again. I'm here this evening to speak on behalf of Mr. James LeBlanc, who I have known for over 50 years. And being involved with the City of Leominster and many other factors of when help is needed, Jimmy's right there. And like I say, for 50 years I've known him. I am proud to be standing here this evening asking you to confirm his name for a position as the head of emergency management on a temporary basis till they get a successor. My future plans and hope is that he will be the one that gets the position and he applies for it. But this evening, I respect your vote on his behalf. Thank you very
Jim.
much.
And while you're at the mic, do you have any advice for us? We're listening.
No, you're doing a good job. I miss being here,
miss you.
but it's great to be free too.
Honest to God, thank you.
Thank you.
Would any other member of the audience like to address the council? Second time?
Tim Hardigan, 19 Pierce Ave.
Tim, is that your residential address?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here in support of Claire Frieda's moratorium, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that right now, but I'd rather have a moratorium in place than to rush into an ordinance that has not addressed several major issues, and if we don't address them, they're just going to get swept under the rug, and that's what I don't want. I'd like to start off with addressing Councilman Ardinger, who unfortunately isn't here, and last week he made a statement that instead of rather being at a cannabis meeting, he'd rather be sitting at the beach drinking wine and eating a steak. And I think it's rather ironic that I'm here fighting for the same right that he takes for granted. This is the biggest thing to hit my generation in 100 years since the prohibition of alcohol ended. And I just want to make sure that we're doing this right and we're not in a rush, because if we're in a rush, we're going to leave out key factors like the black market, minority businesses aren't addressed in this at all. Sooner or later, that's going to be an issue too down the road. But minorities, we don't want to be just workers. We want to actually own these businesses as well. What about the what about the 22-year-old white college female that just graduated from college? And she happens to be an unbelievable cooker. She has a talent to make soaps. Because of the harsh zoning in Leominster, she will never be able to start that business because chances are she won't be able to afford the zoning, sir. And this is in no way at all attack on your credibility or integrity. Councilman Bodanza, you've done a lot of great things for the city, and we definitely appreciate that. But we have to take a look at some of the issues that you didn't address. And I really want to make sure that the city of Leominster does this the right way and intelligently. Like I said, instead of putting these things under the rug, the city of Leominster should have adopted a citizen cannabis review board, like every other city in Colorado, that protects the voters' rights and wishes, but also makes compromises. And I think that may be what we're missing here, is some compromise on this. Nobody wants stores everywhere, but guess what? Weed is everywhere already. It's everywhere. That's why it's called grass, because it literally is everywhere. Prime Wellness, the other thing, I was here with the meeting. I had a chance to go back and review the video from the last tape, and a lot of the city councilors here were concerned about advertising to kids and things like that, and I'm in full agreement of that. You will not get any pushback from me on that. But however, I read in the Sentinel Enterprise about 6 months ago how Prime Wellness was going to be sponsoring a Little League baseball team. So I do find some hypocrisy in that, and that definitely needs to be called out and addressed. Another thing is that Leominster should be favoring local cannabis businesses instead of out-of-towners. If somebody wants to start a craft cannabis business, it only costs $100 to apply for a license. That's nothing. Anyone can literally afford that. The question is, does the zoning is going to be the big issue. Every store in Leominster that sells cigarettes and booze that cause known cancer, there should be a cannabis store right next to it that cures cancer. For those of you that drink alcohol at this city council, how upset would you be if there was only 1 to 3 liquor establishments in Leominster, and then when you went there, you had to pay $300 or $400 to get what you wanted? So for these reasons alone, I think that the city council needs to strongly reconsider the esteemed city councilor's ordinance until we address this. And I'm here to support Claire Frieder in her temporary moratorium, even if it's only 6 months or 3 months or 2 months. We have to address this, and if we don't address it, we're just avoiding the problem. Because I'm sorry to be the elephant in the room here, people, but apparently I'm the only responsible person in Leominster, because the people that voted for it or against it are not here. And I'm sorry that it's only me. I don't know where these people in Leominster, you should be ashamed of yourselves. All the people that voted for or against it, where are you? It's up to me? You kidding me? It's absolutely ridiculous. Mark my words, with Fitchburg's friendly, actually, the only problem I have with Councilman Bedanza's ordinance is that it doesn't
Tim,
include.
can you just do me a favor? Let's just refer to the ordinance, because it was passed by 6 councilors, not Mr. Bonanza.
I'm sorry.
His was
Yes,
the proposal.
I apologize about
So
that.
it's the council.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because of the non-inclusion of commercial zoning in Leominster, all this business is going to go to Fitchburg. And not just that, nobody wants to drive to the outskirts. We don't want this to be, we don't want to feel like that anymore. We want this to be out and above board, and I think everybody should be in agreement with me on here. I don't want to feel like a pariah driving to the outskirts of the city to have, if I wanted to choose so, to buy marijuana or edibles or oils or anything else that goes with this. But I really think we need to think about the small businesses, about the 22-year-old female college student who makes unbelievable soap to relax at night that happens to have cannabis oil in it. She under this current thing, she's not going to be able to open up her small business. And City Council, I appreciate you letting me speak again. And I'm just surprised there's no other city leaders here. There's no cops here to back up the City Council. You know, I just can't believe that it's only me. And it's a shame for the citizens of Leominster that voted for it, against it, that you're not here. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. I'm looking into the camera right now. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. Thank you, City Council.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Would any other member of the audience like to address the council? Second time? Third and final call? If not, the public forum is closed. Thank you. We'll go into session at 7:30 sharp. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The regular scheduled city council meeting for July 23rd, 2018 is now in session. Please stand and join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have three councils that are not with us tonight, but I will take a roll call vote, beginning with Council, I can say Cormier tonight. David's Council Cormier.
Present.
Council Bonanza.
Present.
Council Feckley.
Present.
Council Dombrowski.
Present.
Council Frida.
Present.
I should record as present. We have, so what do we have, 6 members here tonight? Okay?
Yes.
All right, good. So any super majority votes still remain 6 out of the 9. Everything else 5-4. We'll begin with approval of records. Does the chairwoman of records have any report this evening?
I do, Mr. President. I have the minutes of the hearings before the City Council of May 29th, as well as the council meeting of May 29th. I find them to be in order, and I ask that they be placed on file.
Thank you very much. We have a, with the change in the clerk's office right now, you're going to see a difference in some of the script as far as the documentation in the minutes, and what's happening is they're trying to find a happy place right now as far as being able to give us more information, but not too much information, just so you know. So we appreciate you guys muscling through that alteration. Thank you. We now have communications from the mayor, beginning with appointments. If there's no objection, can they read them in block, Madam Chair?
No objection.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Council President. A measure confirming the mayor's appointment of Vincent Estrella Reyes to the position of auxiliary officer, term to expire July 17th, 2019. A measure confirming the mayor's reappointment of Charlie Williams to the position of auxiliary officer, term to expire July 17th, 2019. A measure confirming the mayor's reappointment of Paul Topolsky to the position of auxiliary officer, term to expire July 17th, 2019. A measure confirming the mayor's reappointment of John J. Karen to the position of auxiliary officer, term to expire July 17th, 2019. A measure confirming the mayor's reappointment of Leominster Octavius to the position of auxiliary officer, term to expire July 17th, 2019. A measure confirming the mayor's reappointment of Daniel Johnson to the position of auxiliary officer, term to expire July 17th, 2019.
In block, those appointments and reappointments are referred to the chairwoman of Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I did notice that the first appointment does not seem to be a reappointment.
Correct.
So what I would like to do is request that Mr. Estrella Reyes come down before the council. The others, I know we have seen them, we know them. These are the same names that we have reappointed year after year, so those would just be regular course.
Okay, thank you. And the clerk's test was Leominster Octavius. Good job with that.
Yes.
We've kind
Very
of
good.
stumbled over that for the
No,
past
she
few
did
years.
excellent.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. We're going to set up, everything has gone regular course and block all the reappointments. And Vicente Estrella Reyes will be coming down for an interview.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move on to, let's see, orders. We'll begin with communication 03.
Thank you, Council President. Communication 03, Mayor Dean J. Mazzarella, relative to the appropriation of $100,000 be made to the Gallagher Building Expense Account, same to be transferred from the Gallagher Building Revolving Fund.
Communication 3 is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course, please.
Thank you. Regular course on communication 03. Communication 4.
Communication 4, Mayor Dean J. Mazzarella, relative to the appropriation of $75,000 be made to the Gallagher Building Salary and Wages Account, same to be transferred from the Gallagher Building Revolving Fund.
Communication 4 again is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Similar situation, regular course, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regular course on communication 4. We go back to page 2, please, under communication. We do have one communication 5 that is requested at the suspension of rules. Before we take that, I will ask if there are any questions on the floor. If not, all those in favor of suspending the rules, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed by a vote of 5, 6-0. Communication 5 is now before the council. Madam Chair, Madam Clerk.
Communication 5, suspension of the rules. Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, authorized the City of Leominster to pursue $26,580 through the United States Department of Justice Justice Assistance Grant Program.
Thank you. Communication 5 is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
First time on the calendar, regular course.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regular course. We'll now move back to petitions. First time on the calendar, beginning with 2-19.
Thank you, Council President. 2-19, Gail P. Feckley, request to amend Chapter 22 of the revised ordinances entitled Zoning, Article 1, Section 22-4, Definitions, Yard Sale by adding application and permitting requirements for all yard sales.
Communication 2-19 is referred to the Chairman of Legal Affairs.
First time on the calendar, Mr. President, regular course, with a referral to the building inspector, the zoning board of appeals, and the planning board.
Regular course on 2-19 with referral to the planning board, zoning board of appeals, and the, building inspector?
Correct.
Was there any, that's it, 3?
That's, yeah.
Mr. President, through the
Oh,
chair,
Sure.
That's a good idea.
can I ask the Counselor at Large to include the police department?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
It's a
Great.
Good suggestion. Councilor Frida suggested the same.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, great.
Same mind.
So again, we have regular course on 2-19 with referral to the building inspector, zoning board of appeals, the planning board, and also the police department. Thank you. We now move to 3-19.
3-19, Claire M. Frida, request to adopt a temporary moratorium regarding recreational marijuana in the City of Leominster, including definition and purpose.
3-19 is referred to the Chairman of Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course, and I would ask that this matter be discussed or debated at the same time as the second reading of the ordinance on the related legislation. And I defer to the petitioner, Council Frida, if she has any recommendations that she'd like to include.
The planning, police, chief. I don't know who else you might want.
If I may intervene, I think we refer this at one time to the city solicitor, and there may be something on record. Would you like a
Fine.
new statement,
Fine.
or can we dig out the old one?
No, that's fine.
Okay,
Either
so
way.
if we have anything on, from the past on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Should probably include the building inspector and the zoning board of appeals as well.
Anything else?
Not from my perspective, no.
Okay. C-04 has been given regular, 3-19 has been given regular course with referral to the planning department, the police chief. We'll check the city solicitor and see if there's anything in file on that, the building inspector, and the zoning board of appeals. And you'd also like to have that the same night as the second reading of the ordinance that passed last meeting, correct?
I think the two should be discussed together.
Okay, so I think we're looking at, just for a date, August 13th. The only thing that will hold that up, I'll tell you right now, is if I don't have 9 councilors here that night, we're not gonna work with it until I have a full council, all right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now move on to 4-19.
4-19, Lieutenant Richard J. Kinney, replace City Ordinance Section 20-10, parades, processions, and assemblies with the attached proposed Section 20-10, parades/races.
4-19, again, is referred to the Chairman of Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course, with a referral to the mayor's office, the fire department, the police department, and the DPW.
Okay, great. Regular course on 4-19 with referral to the mayor's office, fire department, police department, and the Department of Public Works. Thank you. We
Thank
now
you.
move on to matters before the city council. Let's see, we now move on to what, finance down here? We're all set. We're gonna give the financial report first. Is the chairman ready to report on the financial report?
I am, Mr. President. We began the fiscal year, or the last fiscal year, with a balance in the stabilization account of $14,517,855. There were additions to the account during the last fiscal year and subtractions resulting in a net gain, and the balance entering this fiscal year, which has not been reduced, is $15,080,719.
Thank you very much. Did everyone get a copy of the report, by the way? Okay, good, thank you. We now move on to Finance Communication 2. Is the chairman ready to report?
I am, Mr. President. C-2, Mayor Dean J. Mazzarella, relative to the appropriation of $255,711 be made to the fiscal year 2019 insurance expense account, same to be transferred from the workers' compensation loss funds. This is something that happens pretty much annually. What's going on with this particular communication is we're rolling forward reserves that weren't spent from prior year, loss funds that can be closed out. The earliest one is fiscal year 2016. There was a balance that we're closing out by this communication in the amount of $5,711. Fiscal year 2017, $125,000. In fiscal year 2018, $125,000. So those amounts aggregate $255,711, and those are being rolled forward to create a reserve for this fiscal year 2019 workers' compensation loss fund. It would be my recommendation to grant C-2, Mr. President, and I'd ask you to check with the other member of my committee present this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield the floor to the clerk, Councilor Cormier.
I am in agreement.
Thank you. Please qualify.
Yes, Mr. President, the unanimous recommendation of Finance is to grant C-2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilors heard the recommendation of grant Communication 2. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? If not, all those in favor of the recommendation, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, by a vote of 6-0, the communication has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
I do, Mr. President. Order that the sum of $255,711 be appropriated to the fiscal year 2019 insurance expense account, same to be transferred from the workers' compensation loss funds. Move for the adoption of the order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilors heard the favorable recommendation on Communication 2. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? If not, all those in favor of that recommendation, please indicate by saying yea.
Yea.
Those opposed, by a vote of 6-0, the order's been adopted. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President,
Can we, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, yes. Go ahead.
No, the Chair of Ways and Means requested.
Yeah, that's right. Let's
bringing
get
the
back to
appointment
that.
up.
That's right. I'm sorry, just going too fast. My apologies. Okay, we're going to slam the brakes on right now. I'll yield the, we're going to go back to page 6. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. And I'm going to yield the floor to the chairwoman of Ways and Means on the 2 appointments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appointments, a measure confirming the mayor's appointment of Sandra Murphy to the position of Disability Commission, term to expire April 15th, 2021. This was given regular course at the last meeting. The council has recently met with Ms. Murphy. She is the new director of the library. While she was here, she did indicate an interest in serving on the Disability Commission. Certainly, I think she'd be an excellent addition. The library is an integral part of the community. Many people with disabilities, whether permanent or temporary, use it. I know myself, when I was on the Disability Commission, there was much discussion about aids for the hearing impaired that they could purchase or, rent. So I think that she would be very helpful in helping the Disability Commission along. So my recommendation would be to confirm her appointment, and I will ask that you poll the other members of my committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Refer to the clerk, Councilor Frida.
I agree.
Third member, Councilor Dombrowski.
I agree.
Please qualify.
We have unanimous agreement to confirm Sandra Murphy to the position of Disability Commission, term to expire April 15th, 2021.
Thank you. Councilors heard that recommendation stated on the floor. Are there any questions or comments on the floor? If not, this will be a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Cormier.
Yay.
Councilor Bonanza.
Yay.
Councilor Feckley.
Yay.
Councilor Dabrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Frida.
Yay.
I shall record as yay. By a vote of 6-0, confirmation has taken place. Thank you, Ms. Murphy. We now move to Jimmy LeBlanc. Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. A measure confirming the mayor's appointment of James LeBlanc to perform the duties of Emergency Management Director on a temporary basis for 60 days until the office can be filled by a permanent appointment. As we know, Charlie Coggins, a longtime Director of Emergency Management, has retired. Mr. LeBlanc has been, again, an integral part of that organization for many, many years. This was given regular course last year. We did not request that Mr. LeBlanc come down for an interview because we are all so familiar with him. However, he has graced us with his presence this evening, so I asked him if he wouldn't mind coming in and just giving a little brief bio and for the public of what he has done for and what he can do for emergency management.
Okay,
Motion to recess.
motion to recess, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. We're in recess. Jimmy, can you join us?
Oh, sure.
There is a typo here, by the way. It's supposed to be 6,000 days, not 60. Are you aware of that?
It's supposed to be 6,000.
Can you just make sure that? I know you've been here before.
Push the button.
Yeah, push the button.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if everybody else can in the back of the peanut gallery.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. So I wanted you, since you were here,
Sure.
we're very familiar with you, but maybe members of the public aren't as much. I know many, many people know you, but just so everybody can get to a feeling for who you are,
Sure.
how long you've been with emergency management, what your immediate plans would be as director, and where you would take it from there.
Sure. Just so I just retired a couple of weeks ago from Foster Tech Optics after 53 years of working there. It's been a very successful company, and I don't know how many people realize it in Leominster, but we produced the most lenses of any company in the United States for the war effort. Just 17 million gas mask lenses for just one lens to speak of. And on the flip side of it, doing all of this, I was 53 years as a volunteer for the city of Leominster Emergency Management. Twice before as an acting director some years back. I've always enjoyed it. My plan is no different than when I was the vice president of the company. You need to have a company, and you have to work together. You have to understand the people before the emergency. We built an amphitheater at the training center over there on Carter Street out of the potato chip factory, basically so that we could build relationships prior to any disaster. We've got the Leominster Fire Department, Leominster Police Department, DPW, the schools are all using about, I'd say 80 to 85% of the month is booked out in that amphitheater. Probably one of the best things we ever did. I mean, we couldn't build it just for emergency management, it had to be built for the city, and it's really paid off. I'm pretty fortunate also that the relationship I have with the fire department, the relationship with the police department, I mean, Chief Robbie Sidlow, I mean, we've been friends since he was a young teenager, and Mike Goldman, when I was in the auxiliary police, we worked together back then. So for me, it's filling out the bucket list. I'm almost 73 years old, but if the president can run the country at this age, I figure I'm gonna give this a shot and do the best job I can. I like being like a world-class operation. I've brought Worcester firefighters through emergency management in Leominster, and they are just blown away by what this city has got for the people. And you've probably seen recently what we're doing for people that have had fires and disaster situations, how we treat them with respect and how we get them on their feet. So all the way around, it's kind of rewarding. This city council and the mayor have been awesome. I mean, to build what we built with the support of this organization here, it would never have happened if you weren't supportive. So I appreciate that.
We really appreciate everything emergency management has done for the city. I mean, emergencies are just that, and we need people like you to be ready to help us out. And, as far as building relationships, from what I've seen and known of you, I mean, you build relationships just walking down the street. So, I mean, that's just comes second nature to you, I think. So what I'm going to do now is open it up to other members. Well, first, the members of my committee, to see if
Sure.
they have any questions for you
Oh, sure.
or comments. Councilor Dombrowski?
No, I don't have any questions, Jimmy. I've been sitting here for 15 years, and I've been amazed for 15 years. So just very happy that that you're there and that you're willing to serve, and just, again, thank you very, very much.
been my pleasure too, so.
Councilor Frida?
I don't have any questions either, but I just have so much respect for you, Jim, and what you do and how you do it. And you're right about people going in there. We had a MMA legislative breakfast last year, I think.
Right.
And you gave the important tour that you give with the same enthusiasm as you have when you scrounge stuff to make something work, and it comes out looking beautiful. And you've done that all along for a long time. And they were amazed. And these people go to 351 cities and towns. So you've really done a good job, and, you know, I definitely support you. The only question I have, this wouldn't affect your ability if you chose to apply for the permanent position, right?
Of course I'd want to go for the permanent position. That's if, you know, if there's someone more qualified than me, younger than me, that can do a better job, then they should get the job.
Now, I just wanted to be sure when we vote that you,
Oh, I'm up
it
for the-
won't take away from.
I'm up for the permanent job.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other councilors have any questions or comments? Councilor Marshall?
Thank you for stepping in. You know, it's I think a load off the administration's back and the community, knowing that they're not gonna miss a heartbeat down there with you taking over for a while. You know, whether it's 60 days or a permanent type of thing. So for you know, half a century of support to that organization, I think is amazing. You know, it's commendable, it's a benchmark of excellence, and thank you very much for doing it. I think your greatest task will be to get former Councilor Lance Annie out of retirement and join you. He's probably game for that, so.
I gotta tell you this one, man. We had the Worcester fire, where all the firefighters died that night. And I had, and the first truck in there to support feeding all those firefighters was our canteen truck. And we knew it was gonna be a long haul. I remember Charlie says to me, he said, what in the hell are we gonna do to have supervision through the evenings for such a long-term event as this? I says, let me make one phone call. I called Jim Lanciani. He says, I'm on my way. I says, no, not right now. I says, but could you work, say, 11 to 7 to cover the supervision? We'll cover the days. He says, absolutely no problem. We covered 9 days, 24 hours a day, and Jim was covering those nights. So,
Yeah.
do I like to get him involved? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I had one other, I woke him up 2:30 one morning. I designed and built some equipment that's used by the Boston Fire Department for fighting pier fires. It's a floating device that goes under the piers and fights. I calls him up. I says, hey, Jim, I just got a call from Boston Fire. They want to know if they had another floating deluge gun. He says, I can pick you up right now. So he picks me up. He puts us on the pier at 1 hour. We had a police escort when we got in there. We worked the whole night, and we probably, I would have to say, we both enjoyed ourselves by the fact that we got the call from Boston Fire Department to assist them. So Jim has always been there. We worked auxiliary police together for well over 10 years, so I don't care that he's in his mid-80s. I'd have no problem calling him tonight.
It's a good friend to have.
He's a very good friend, been friends for 50 years.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Any other councilors, questions, comments? Councilor Bedancy?
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you. And the two Jims, you're both an example of what make this community great. And thank you very much for, both of you, for all your efforts and service to this community in so many different ways. Much appreciated.
Thank you. I can't tell you how many nights we'd pull in with car 100 and they say the two Jims are here. And they would just give us calls we should have never gotten. We always had fun with it.
All set? Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
LeBlanc.
That was
Thank
easy.
you for coming up.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
We passed the audition.
Quite a guy, both you guys.
Oh, my goodness.
Council's back in session. Madam Chair, do you have a recommendation?
I do, Mr. President. My recommendation is to confirm the appointment of James LeBlanc to perform the duties of Emergency Management Director on a temporary basis for 60 days, until the office can be filled by a permanent appointment. So with pleasure.
Thank
And I
you.
will go to the members of my
I yield the floor to the clerk, Counselor Frida.
I agree.
Third member, Counselor Dombrowski.
I agree.
Madam Chair.
We have a unanimous recommendation for James LeBlanc to serve as Emergency Management Director on a temporary basis.
Thank you. Councilors heard that recommendation for confirmation on Mr. LeBlanc. Are there any questions or comments on the floor? If not, this will be a roll call vote. Begin with Counselor Bonanza.
Yay.
Counselor Cormier.
Yay.
I shall record as yea. Counselor Frida.
Yay.
Counselor Nabrowski.
Yay.
And Counselor Feckley, the Chair of
Yay.
Ways and Means.
Yay.
Thank you very much. The confirmation has taken place. Thank you, both of you guys.
Thank you.
That was two
Appreciate
yays,
that.
one for you and one for Jim.
We're buddies.
Page 4, seat 79. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll now move back to page 4, Communication 79 under Legal Affairs. Is the chairman ready to report?
I am, Mr. President.
Take your time.
Communication 79, Mayor Dean J. Mazzarella requests authorization to file a home rule petition as follows. An act authorizing the City of Leominster to amend the Special Act of 2002 relative to retired officer details. My understanding is that there is still an outstanding referral from the city solicitor.
Okay.
So I believe that further time is probably in order.
You gonna go, further time on this?
I'll defer to my committee, but that's the general practice. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll yield the floor to the second member.
I like to see, is there a time situation here? I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the city.
Yeah, we have, to be honest with you, I don't think we received any kind of a deadline on it. I believe it only takes 5 votes for it to pass as well.
I mean, I
So if you want
support
to move
it.
forward with it tonight.
I don't see a reason not to support it. I just know that, we do have a pending referral, and it is amending a special act, so.
Right,
I
right.
mean,
Who's it
they're kind of tied together.
So it's a solicitor, yeah. Okay, Counselor Frida, again?
I support it.
Okay, thank you. I yield the floor to the third member, Counselor Bonanza.
With all deference to the chair, I think I support it too. I'd like to move it along.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you have a majority report.
Actually, we can make that unanimous. I don't see a
Yep.
reason to not support it.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll have a unanimous recommendation to approve Communication 79.
Okay, thank you. Councilors heard the recommendation read to grant Communication 79. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? If not, this will be a roll call vote, beginning with Counselor Cormier.
Yay.
Counselor Bonanza.
Yay.
Counselor Feckley.
Yay.
Counselor Dabrowski.
Yay.
Counselor Frida.
Yay.
I shall record as yea by a vote of 6-0. The communication has been granted. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to 79-18. Is the chairman ready to report?
I am. 7918, David R. Cormier, install a stop sign on Sawtell Road against eastbound drivers at Central Street.
If there's no objection, do you want to take some of these in block?
I
up to you.
don't have an objection to that. I know that some councilors have in the past when it concerns individual streets.
Is there any objection? We'll take the stop signs in blocks just to
That's
move
fine.
them forward, all right? Thank you. So that would be 79,
To 83.
okay, thank you.
So 7918, I read. 8018, David R. Cormier, install a stop sign on Litchfield Street against northbound drivers at Lancaster Street. 8118, David R. Cormier, install a stop sign on Tossy Street against eastbound drivers at Central Street. 8218, David R. Cormier, install a stop sign on Columbus Street against westbound drivers at Litchfield Street. 8318, David R. Cormier, install a stop sign on Columbus Street against eastbound drivers at Ruth Street. We did receive a written recommendation from the traffic agent of the Leominster Police Department, and he was in approval for all 5 of these petitions. My recommendation is that we grant all 5,
Okay.
and I'd ask you to pull my committee.
I yield the floor to the clerk, Counselor Frida.
I agree.
Thank you. Counselor Bonanza, third member.
I agree as well.
Mr. Chairman, please qualify.
We have a unanimous recommendation to grant petition 7918 8018, 8118, 8218, and 8318.
Thank you. Council has heard the recommendation to grant 79-18 through 83-18 in block. Are there any questions or comments on the floor? If not, all those in favor of that recommendation, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, by a vote of 6-0. Those those petitions have been granted in block. Thank you. We now move on to 84-18. Is the chairman ready to report?
I am. Petition 8418, Interim Chief Michael D. Goldman, amend Chapter 10 of the Leominster Peddler's License as authorized by Mass General Law, Chapter 6, Section 172B and a half. Again, we are awaiting an outstanding referral from the city solicitor. Given the nature of this particular petition, my recommendation would be further time.
Thank you. Council has heard the recommendation for further time on 84-18. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? If not, excuse me, go ahead.
If you
Oh, you want
could
to
pull
poll? I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I'll go with the clerk, Council Frida.
Further time.
Third member.
Further time.
Thank you. The council has heard the recommendation for further time. Are there any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of that recommendation, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, further time is awarded by a vote of 6-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to 85-18. Is the chairman ready to report?
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 8518, Greenbrier Realty Trust, request an easement over the parcel shown on the City of Leominster Assessor's maps as Map 12, Parcel 5, as shown on a utility plan prepared by McCarty Engineering, dated December 16, 2005, and revised June 14, 2018, to install 4 domestic water services and 1 hydrant service off the city-owned water main. Apparently, we are awaiting some referrals from the city engineer's office, the fire department, the planning department, and the city solicitor. I know we did get a referral back from the DPW recommending approval. Given the large number of outstanding referrals, and the fact that there are only 6 of us here, I think a further time is appropriate as well.
Okay, you have the floor to the second member, Council Frida.
I agree.
Council Bonanza.
I agree as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will you qualify, please?
Unanimous recommendation for further time on petition 8518, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council heard for further time on 85-18. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? If not, all those in favor of that recommendation, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, by a vote of 6-0, further time has been awarded. Thank you. We now move on to Communication 01. Is the chairman ready to report?
Yes. Yes, I am, Mr. President. Communication 01, Mayor Dean J. Mazzarella. Request that the City Council approve petition 01 and authorize the mayor on behalf of the city to petition the Mass General Court for special legislation substantially in the form as set forth below relating to the city making payment on a certain unpaid bill to Royal Steam Heater Company, provided, however, that the General Court may make clerical or editorial changes of form only to the bill unless the mayor approves amendments to the bill before enactment by the General Court, and provided further that the mayor is hereby authorized to approve amendments which shall be within the scope of the general public objectives of this petition. Again, we have several pending referrals: the mayor's office, the city solicitor, the purchasing agent, the school department, and the comptroller. Again, given the fact that there are only 6 of us here and the outstanding referrals, recommendation is further time.
Thank you. You need to poll your committee. You all set?
I don't think I do, but
Okay. Any questions on that, committee? All right. Councilor Frida.
Yeah, I don't have a question, and I support that. Go ahead, I'll comment after.
No, you get it. It's all yours. Go ahead.
No, this bothers me. It's bothered me. This is the 3rd time in, 2 years, that we have to actually go to the legislature and say, can we please spend money to pay a bill that should have been paid already? Somehow, we have to figure out how this is gonna stop happening, because we look foolish on the state level, saying the city of Leominster doesn't know how to do its business. And in the meantime, these people are all waiting to get paid, and they can't get paid because it's a different fiscal year. So, I think I mentioned, I'd like to have either the controller or the purchasing agent or both come down and just have a discussion on whether it's giving more instruction to people, but it's ridiculous that this is happening.
If I may weigh in on this a little bit, from what I understand, without casting stones against anyone, this was negligence on the part of the person in the school department who is no longer employed by the city. So if I just leave it at that at this point. It's unfortunate we're in this situation, and the new person ended up having to deal with this. I think if in a brief conversation with the superintendent, I don't think that person really knew how to deal with it, and now it's on the table for action to get it resolved. I completely agree with you on that.
But that's this one. We've
Yeah,
had two others.
we've had others too. Council Bonanza?
Yeah, I agree with the Councilor Lodge. It's hard to ignore that this is the third time in a relatively
Yep.
short period. I will note that there were 3 different entities involved, so they didn't all come from the same department. That doesn't make it any easier, I suppose. And I think there's some blame to pass around. I think some of these contractors, too, need to understand what they're doing as well. So, I don't know what the answer is, but we certainly need to tighten things up, because I do agree, this is not making us very popular with the third reading committee chair down in the legislature, I can tell you that.
Right, that's for sure. Council Feckley?
Okay. Did we get a copy of this bill? If we did, I apologize, but I haven't seen it.
Did you see, anyone see a copy on that?
Yeah, there's
whole
information in the
packet.
package.
In the package?
Yep.
There's information in the bill,
Yep.
okay.
Would you like a copy, Counselor?
Yes, because I don't think
Okay.
I've received one,
Right.
to tell you the truth.
Okay, we'll get, anyone else would like a copy? All right. Any other comments or questions on the floor? Counselor, restate your position, please.
The recommendation, under the circumstances, is further time.
Thank you. Communication 1, the recommendation is further time by the committee. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? If not, all those in favor of that recommendation, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, by a vote of 6-0, further time has been awarded. We'll now move on to page, let's see here, 5. Page 5, we have 1-19. Is the chairman ready to report?
I am. Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 1-19. Janet L. Scherer Pulteney and 10 registered voters request speed bumps to be installed on Burridge Avenue. Again, we have pending referrals from the mayor's office, the city solicitor, and the DPW. My recommendation is further time. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you. Counsel Frida?
Further time?
Counsel Bonanza?
Further time.
Please restate.
Unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee is further time for petition 1-19.
Thank you. Council's heard the recommendation for further time on 1-19. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? If not, all those in favor of the recommendation, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, by a vote of 6-0, further time has been awarded. Thank you. We now move on to public safety and traffic, beginning with 86-18. This evening, Councilor Feckley, you'll be the acting chair, please.
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you.
8618, Gail Feckley, amend Section 13-88.4 of Leominster Municipal Code by adding the following. No driver shall make a left-hand turn from Day Street onto the rear driveway of Johnny Appleseed School during the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., Monday through Friday, during the school year. So this was given regular course, and then we sent out referral to the principal of Johnny Appleseed School and the police department. And I'll read them into the record. Hello, I'm writing in response to the petition regarding the left turn from Day Street onto the rear driveway of Johnny Appleseed School. The time in the proposed amendment prohibiting the left turn is 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I would propose the following times: 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. These times encompass the drop-off and pick-up times at the school. It is during these times that individuals who try to take a left turn hold up regular traffic on the street. Thank you, Meg O'Hearn Curran, Principal, Johnny Appleseed School. From the Police Department, good afternoon, Ms. Huffman. This email is in reference to the following petition. 8618, a request to amend Section 1388.4. The Police Department is in support of this petition. I would request the following line be added to the amendment. Any person violating the provisions of Section 1388 shall be punished by a fine not to exceed $50. Currently, the penalties for Section 1388 refer to the penalties listed in Section 1366.16. Section 1366.16 then refers to the penalties listed in Section 1333. Section 1333 is the schedule of parking fines. Section 1333 does not list any moving violation fines. Lieutenant Richard Kinney, Leominster Police Department. So we would have the amendment for the time change certainly would support, because the principal of Johnny Appleseed School would know better than I, when the best times would be. The amendment
So
regarding.
that will go to 7:30 to 8:30, is that correct?
Yes, it would go
Okay,
from.
thank you.
Yeah, from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., and then from 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Thank you. And then the second amendment?
The second amendment, the fine to not exceed $50. I'd have to probably defer perhaps to Council Bedanza. I believe that he probably would know these schedules better than I. Is this something that we could actually do? Because it was parking fines, not moving violation fine.
Council Bonanza?
I don't know.
Council Dabrowski?
I honestly don't know.
As a member of that committee, do you see anything?
I think we can, but I don't definitively know.
Yeah. Does any councilor have any idea? This is an ordinance, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a first and second reading to move forward if this
Yep.
passes tonight with 6 votes.
Yep.
And my suggestion is that if you want to move forward with a recommendation and it's granted tonight, that in the first reading of the ordinance, we should have that answer for you. And then at that point, if it needs to be amended, does that make sense?
That makes sense. I
Okay.
would support, obviously, changing the time.
Right,
And then we could leave the fine
okay,
question out there for the city solicitor.
yeah,
answer.
definitely.
Okay,
Okay?
so that would be my recommendation.
All right, thank you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to vote on the amendment for 86-18 to to adjust the times, and the times will be adjusted to 7:30 to 8:30 a.m., 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Are there any questions on the amendments?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, this will be a roll call vote since it is an ordinance. I'll begin with Councilor Cormier,
Yay.
Councilor Bonanza,
Yay.
Councilor Feckley,
Yay.
Councilor Dabrowski.
Yay.
Excuse me, Councilor Frida.
Yay.
I shall record as yea by a vote of 6-0. It is amended as stated. I yield the floor back to the Chairwoman of Ways and Means for a recommendation to the council.
Yes, my recommendation to the council, Mr. President, would be that this amendment be approved, and I will ask that you poll members of my committee.
Thank you. I yield the floor to Councilor Dombrowski.
I support the petition as amended.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yep.
Madam Chair, please qualify.
Yes, we have a unanimous recommendation from the Public Safety and Traffic Committee to approve this amendment as amended.
Thank you. Councilors heard the recommendation to grant 86-18 as amended. Are there any questions or comments on the floor? If not, this will be a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dabrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Feckley.
Yay.
Councilor Bonanza.
Yay.
Councilor Cormier.
Yay.
I shall record as yea by a vote of 6-0. The petition has been granted. Thank you very much for your work on that. 72-18, is the chairwoman ready to report?
I am, Mr. President. We may be able to take 72-18 through and including 78-18 in block, because we are still, we have some outstanding referrals.
Okay. Is there any objection to that? If not, go ahead.
Okay. 72-18, David R. Cormier, install a street light on pole number 10 on Independence Drive. 73-18, David R. Cormier, install a street light on pole number 12 on Bicentennial Avenue. 74-18, David R. Cormier, install a street light on pole number 4 on Flintlock Drive. 75-18, David R. Cormier, install a street light on pole number 5 on Bicentennial Avenue. 7618, David R. Cormier, install a streetlight on pole number 2 on Drummer Lane. 7718, David R. Cormier, install a streetlight on pole number 4 on Indian Ridge Drive. 7818, David R. Cormier, requests to install a streetlight on pole number 2 on Bicentennial Avenue. All of these petitions have outstanding referrals from the mayor and the planning board. So my recommendation would be to give them further time.
Okay, thank you. Has everyone's heard the recommendation read? Council Dabrowski, okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, good. Council's heard the recommendation read for further time on 7218 through 7818 in block. Are there any comments or questions on the floor? Council Frida.
Just a quick question for the future. We never did streetlights down here. They weren't our jurisdiction. I think we need to find out, because there are other people asking now about putting streetlights up. So if this is the mayor's call and the DPW's call, let's find out, because I don't believe they belong on the agenda for us. So let's find out.
Yeah, it's been back and forth for decades. You're right.
Well, the
So
kind
sometimes
of
they
rule
come
of
up,
thumb that we
sometimes they
got the
don't,
last
but-
time I remember is pretty
Yeah.
much, if there's no fine for it,
Right.
we have no jurisdiction over it.
So potentially it's just a request of the mayor's
Right,
office.
and,
Okay.
and we could pass these, it's not gonna matter until
Right.
he funds it.
Right,
So-
exactly. Okay. That's a good question. We'll ask that question, all right? I think it's right to the mayor's office on that one. Council's heard the recommendation read again for further time. Are there any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of that recommendation, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, by a vote of 6-0, further time has been awarded. Thank you for taking over that chairmanship. Appreciate it. We now move on to page 6. We have old business. We have a second reading of the ordinance. Mr. Chairman, are you ready to report?
I am. Thank you, Mr. President. Second reading of an ordinance relative to amending Section 13-77 of the Leominster Municipal Code by adding a stop sign for southwestbound traffic on Commonwealth Circle at the intersection of Exchange Street. We had a public hearing earlier this evening. My recommendation is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The clerk, Councilor Frida.
Yes,
Third member, Councilor Bonanza.
Yes.
Please qualify.
We have a unanimous recommendation from the Legal Affairs Committee to adopt the second reading of the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council's heard the recommendation read to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. Are there any questions or comments on the floor? If not, this will be a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Cormier.
Yay.
Councilor Bonanza.
Yay.
Councilor Feckley.
Yay.
Councilor Dabrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Frida.
yay.
I shall record as yea by a vote of 6-0. The second reading of the ordinance has been adopted. Thank you. We now move on to the next second reading of the ordinance. Mr. Chairman, are you ready to report?
I am, Mr. President. Second reading of an ordinance relative to amending Section 13-77 of the Leominster Municipal Code by adding a stop sign for northeastbound traffic on Revolution Drive at the intersection of Exchange Street. Similar to the prior second reading, we had a public hearing this evening earlier. My recommendation is to adopt the second reading of the ordinance. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield the floor to the clerk, Councilor Frida.
I agree.
Third member, Councilor Bonanza.
I'm in accord.
Please requalify.
We have a unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to adopt the second reading of the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Councilors heard the recommendation read to adopt the second reading of this ordinance. Are there any questions or comments on the floor? If not, this will be a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Councilor Dabrowski.
Yay.
Councilor Feckley.
Yay.
Councilor Bonanza.
Yay.
Councilor Cormier.
Yay.
I shall be recorded as yea by a vote of 6-0. The second reading of the ordinance has been adopted. Thank you for your work. We now move on to new business.
Mr. President?
Oh, sorry, let's go back to old business. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I do have an item on old business. I'd like to
Sure.
go back to 0219.
Okay, what page are we on?
Mine is 3. I think I have the amended version.
219,
I have
gotcha.
the old
Yep.
one, yeah.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to clarify, the recommendation for the police department, I would like that to be specifically the chief of police.
okay, so we have, absolutely. So, again, the referrals, just so, you know, for refreshing our memory, on 2-19, building inspector, ZBA, planning board,
Right,
and now will be specifically the police chief.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Anything else on that?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Does the chairman have any problem with that, legal affairs?
Not at all.
Okay,
Thank you.
so noted, thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes,
While we're doing that,
yep,
can we check, somebody asked me what difference there is in this request and the permit for, what is it, peddlers?
the one that the chief
Peddler's
put in.
license. Peddler's license, how do they differ?
Can you say that same question again? I didn't get,
You really the same way?
well, what's the difference between someone that comes
Yeah,
in for
somebody,
peddler's
and I don't even know if
license
it's a
and
valid question, I understand
Yeah.
what they're saying.
this? Yeah,
They asked me about the yard sale permitting, how does that differ from the peddler's license application?
okay, we can ask the city clerk, the city solicitor for that one, I think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if the chief can answer that.
I think I
Council
can, I think I
Bianca?
can answer it.
Well,
I used to
we're
hold,
kinda,
I mean, you can ask the city solicitor, but what's
Yeah.
gonna come back is that,
is there any objection to hearing what Council Bonanza has on that?
No.
Okay, we are under old business, so we're not really supposed to be debating or discussing, he's just
it's just
making
a
a
point of
clarification,
information,
that's
that's
it.
all. Just,
Go ahead.
many moons ago, I used to hold one of those licenses when I sold ice cream. It's supposed to be from rolling stock, a peddler's license, as opposed to a stationary place.
Okay,
Now, some of these peddler's licenses, they end up in a stationary place, but technically, they're supposed to be moving.
right. Yeah. And that's how it's in our ordinances, according to the clerk. Yeah. There is some question on that, even running an event like the Johnny Appleseed Festival, how does that play out for the people we give license to?
I wouldn't have thought of it till, and they didn't
Yeah.
ask for an answer,
Yeah,
but, yeah, I couldn't answer it, so.
okay, it should be a simple answer. So we'll ask the city solicitor to clarify that for you, for your constituent, okay? We're still under old business, any other items? Okay, we now move on to new business. No, I'm gonna take one step back to old business for 1 second, if it's okay. I want to apologize to the council. I take full responsibility at the last city council meeting for not making sure we had a public forum. That's my responsibility as the council president. I messed up and I apologize. We did take a look back. I asked because I wanted to make sure if I made a mistake that it was corrected. And we did find out that Councilor Frida was absolutely correct. We went back 10 years, and in the past 10 years, every single special meeting we had a public forum. So I apologize to the council and the community for that as well. We'll now move on to new business. Now, I put this on tonight, and I want to thank the assistant clerk and the clerk for putting something together for us. Again, trying to clean out the old folders. Some things sometimes just get buried and they never come out. So therefore, we have now, what do we have, a spreadsheet? Okay, and everyone will get a copy of that spreadsheet. You have it already. So the idea is, even though you're not the chairperson of that, you may be somehow connected to a person who has applied, that you can maybe answer. They may call you, before they call like the committee chairman, so you have an answer for them in order to be able to move forward. So the idea would be, in a timely fashion, in the next few months, we would take those and work them and bring them to the council for action and disposition in a partnership with the people who actually applied. So are there any questions on that? Okay, good. We now move on to table petitions upon which action is proposed. We do have an item 39-18 that is before the chairman, the Committee of Legal Affairs, I believe.
Yes.
First of all, we're going to take it off the table for action and disposition. Do you wish to do that this evening?
Well, I have a conflict with respect to this particular
Okay, thank you.
item, so
All right.
I'll step down.
Okay, thank you. I'll yield the floor to the clerk, Councilor Frida.
I was asked to look at this by the petitioner and take it off the table. I'll look at the other member of Legal Affairs if we can.
Okay, I'll yield the floor to Councilor Bonanza.
I don't have any particular reason, honestly, to take it off the table at this juncture,
Okay,
at this
all right.
point.
Okay, I'm going to yield the floor back to the clerk that asked for this to come off the table, correct? So what will happen is if you can explain And then if the committee can come up with a recommendation, other than that, I'll look for a motion on the floor.
Did you say you were for or against?
I don't see any particular reason at this juncture to take it off the table.
I can't hear you.
I don't see at this juncture, at this point in time, any reason to take it off the table.
And I kind of said
Okay.
that.
Okay, so you
I
have
don't
the
disagree
floor.
with that.
You have the floor.
My recommendation then would be to leave it tabled.
Okay, your recommendation is to not take it off the table. Okay, I'll yield the floor back to, we're not gonna take it off the table and retable it, correct?
Right.
Okay, I'll yield the floor to the third
Yeah,
member,
we would
Council Bonanza.
retable it.
Excuse me?
We would be retabling it.
Well, we're not, first of all, we have to take it off the table
Right.
for action at disposition.
Right.
So
Okay.
if your recommendation is to take it off the table, we'll do that. And then you can make a recommendation
Okay, I
after
thought you
that.
were saying we couldn't retable.
It's just a lot of table stuff. No, we can,
I-
so I'm right, so if I'm wrong, correct me, but in order to do
No, I
anything
just
with it.
thought you were saying if we did this, we wouldn't be able to retable it.
No, we can
That's-
retable
right,
it,
all right,
absolutely.
just clarifying.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. What is your desire, to take this off the table for action at disposition, or leave it tabled
Leave it tabled,
as it is right now?
right.
Correct, okay. Council Bonanza?
I agree, so we don't have to table it
So there's
again.
no action on it.
Right.
Okay, great, we got that straightened out. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So that remains tabled. Okay, and that can happen, you know, that can happen. We have, on the community calendar, is this gonna be in City Hall?
Yes.
Okay, we did receive a message from the mayor, I believe, and there's gonna be a public forum on August 15th. And we're asking any interested citizen in the city of Leominster, 18 or over?
Yes.
18 or over, if you would like to come down and find out information about becoming an election worker. Okay, so it's a great way, you know, to participate in the election process and help the community. You always need, you know, there's always a turnover, people moving, people retiring. So if anyone's interested, again, the date on that is August 15th, 2018, in the City Hall Auditorium at 6:30 PM. If you need any more information about that, and if LTV can plug this, we'd appreciate it. You can contact the clerk's office, or you can contact the mayor's office at 978-534-7500. Are there any other items on the community calendar? Council Zabrowski?
You might want to send that request to the AP history teachers and government teachers at the high school,
It's a great idea.
you know.
That's a
'cause
great
they,
idea.
They're always looking for
Yeah.
projects.
It's perfect.
Well, they have to be 18 and over now.
There's an exception
Yeah.
for students.
There's an exception for students. Can you share it with us? Just off the top of your head? Wow, it's great.
If you get permission from the school and you're 17 or under the age of 18, it's for a project for school, you can still work the polls. You don't have to be a registered voter.
Right. And if you're in good standing academically
Correct.
and behaviorally
Yes.
as well, and you like some of the snacks they're gonna be feeding you,
Yes.
at Plainton, you're gonna be overwhelmed now.
Yes.
I know my grandson will be running down here tomorrow with his buddies. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Council.
President, I think the teacher at the high school is Mrs. Murphy, or Miss Murphy.
Ms. Murphy?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yep.
We're gonna let her know you said this, so you get extra credit in that class.
Yeah,
Going back.
Absolutely.
I've lectured it a few times.
I know,
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
Anything else under old business? Councilor Feckley, you
Well,
have
this-
the floor.
I don't know if this is old business, community
figure it.
calendar, I guess.
Go for it.
They're part of our community now. I just wanted to make note of, and I'm sure a lot of the other counselors have noticed this too, how Ms. Huffman and Ms. Serafin have really put their own personal touch on some of the paperwork that we get. You know, really, you could tell that their desire really is to try to make things as easy as possible for us, and I, for one, really appreciate it. Just some of just the little touches that they have done
Yeah.
in the short period of time that they've been here
Coun-
have, you know.
Councilor Feckley, you're gonna go down in history, even with sometimes local heartache. You and your committee made the greatest decision you could ever imagine
Well,
for this city. And
I'm
I
not
mean, it's
patting
gonna show
myself
for-
on the back. I'm
No, it's
giving
gonna, it's gonna be for decades, because even though
I hope so.
I'm working with these ladies, and it's, you know, it's unbelievable what they're doing. And when they follow up, usually it's me intervening, so I've known enough to stay away from them as much as possible, so then when they say, you know, I'll get a call, should we do this? And no, just whatever you think, go for it, you know? but they're doing a great job, the dedication, you know, bringing the work home and everything, which you need to find that balance. You know, but there's some exciting things happening, in one of them, if I may. I met with the mayor Friday. The clerk met with the mayor Friday. And the meeting went better than you could ever imagine. And some of the things that they bring to the office that you are more aware than anyone, you and your committee, they need some support. And basically the mayor said, whatever you need, don't hold back on anything. You know, so if you want to scan things and you need a scanner, to computers, to support materials and binders, and he's just said, you know, just whatever you need, and you know, and that was qualified. So we're really excited to have you guys on board.
You working on that list?
Yeah. Yeah, just don't get burnt out. There's a lot, you know, it's the millennials, they're here. Facebook's for older people, remember, your grandparents. Great, thank you. Good comments. Nice job, ladies, you and your staff. Any other comments under new business or anything else? Okay, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice work. Yeah. We didn't have David call me here.
The Leominster City Council meeting is brought to you by the generous support of the Service Oil Company, 345R Lancaster Street, Leominster, 978-466-1922.